Welcome back. This is season 2, episode 3 of the Value Adds Value podcast. My name is Kyle Krieger, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you. And I'm glad to be joined by my guy, Will Give You Love the Third. Will, what's going on?
What up, man? Life is good. Life is good.
Yeah,
About yourself?
My life is good. We are doing our normal recording time, which is 5 a.m. and it's now 5:22, and I'm frustrated because the internet at my house isn't working. So we've had to troubleshoot that, but that's no surprise to teachers. And also, I had a great win to make copies yesterday morning, and of course, there was no toner, so that was my first instance of that this school. So that was fun too, But otherwise, things are great, man. Things are really, really good. I'm just starting my second week
Second week
of
back
school.
in the saddle.
Yeah, first full week.
So you still got the chafing burns from the saddle.
Oh man, it's yeah, it's been interesting. You and I talked a little bit last week off air, and um, yeah, it's been wild. Uh, Not in the sense that like my kids are wild. I work in an awesome school, but just it's such a different feeling. And I was trying to describe it yesterday. I was trying to record myself just on my voice memos on my way home, and I couldn't describe what was different about it or why I feel like it's different, but it's something I'm processing. It's such a different experience. And I think the hard thing for me about trying to figure out the experience is trying to figure out why it's different.
Mm.
I want to try to figure it out, but I think I don't need to figure out why it's different. I just have to appreciate how wonderful all the people I work with are, and how wonderful my school is, my kids are, and how wonderful my personal life has gotten. Man, it's really good. So
And we also
enough
talked
about
about the fact that you've been landscaping for the last year
yeah.
and how you were more tired coming home from your classrooms than you were coming from landscaping.
100, 100%. That those first couple of days when you sound like you get home, you sound like you smoked a pack of cigarettes all day. But yeah, I think, and part of it too is you're just you're giving everything in that classroom to your kids,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just going, and um, it's so funny having been, the summer, and being used to texting Brittany, pretty regularly throughout my days. I realized that from like 7 o'clock in the morning until noon on my lunch, I hadn't texted her at all. And I was just like, oh man, my days are going quick. And you and I were just talking, man. Like that 45-minute class period is a monster
Mm-hmm.
to try to get everything in, and I think that's been the struggle, man. Has been narrowing down the planning. Because the first week I had overplanned so bad that it took me like 2 days or 2.5 days to do my first lesson plan for the first day.
Wow.
Because when we were teaching together, it was what 80,
90
85 or
80.
90 minutes.
Mm.
So it's just that's an adjustment, man. But yeah, what's been going on with you? You're 4.5 weeks in now, 4 weeks in.
We're in our fourth week right now, and it's each year brings us different challenges. This year I have a co-teacher, and I have a student teacher. Both of them are phenomenal. I told my kids they're lucky because they actually get to have 3 male teachers in one classroom, because that doesn't happen too often in education. And so, we're trucking along, we're moving, and we're just, again, it's just one of those things where it's like, no matter how much you know about education, each year, each class teaches you something different about your ability as a teacher and things that you need to add to your quiver. And I'm sure we'll get into that on the next episode with building teacher-student relationships. But it's been interesting. This year,
Mm-hmm.
the vibe is different. It's more focused on the culture of the school, the collective culture. And I think that that has made a difference in a lot of what we do at Jones Middle School.
Mhm. Mhm. So being that the topic of this week's episode is building teacher to teacher relationships, I guess I'll start by asking how you see or how the changes have been at your campus because you opened up your campus last year, brand new school, and throughout the year there were several, just kind of those what what they call lemon teachers who just didn't fit. Um, but there was another influx of new people on your campus, and I just figured we talk about how it's been with those new people and how you've approached uh, folding them in, like you said, to the culture that you're trying to create there at Jones.
Well, I think it's we did we you would think we had a high turnover in sixth grade, um, and I tell everybody our job is really the hardest job in the school because we get the kids coming straight from elementary, having to acclimate them to middle school life of being able to walk to the restroom between classes on your own, being able to walk in transitions without being walked to the next place that you're going. Those are new concepts for kids. And excuse me. So that takes a lot out of you, and it takes a special breed to be a sixth grade teacher in middle school. It takes a very special breed. It's a big special breed to be a middle school teacher. Period. Is what I'm learning, and I think what we've done this year is we put the focus on the culture. We looked and said, let's acclimate the teachers to what the culture is. So when we spent our first PDs, it was all about culture. Our theme for this year is Harambe, everybody pulling together. So kind of getting that, I got your back, you got my back, building those relationships with each other to trust each other. Make sure you're visible with one another, that you're not just kind of throwing people off to the side or not paying attention to people, making sure that you're understanding who's on your team. And I think one of the biggest things we did this year was having grade level team leads, where we actually meet as a grade level every month. I think that has, even though we've only, as a grade level this year, we've met 3 times, whereas all of last year we only met once as a collective unit. And so, you can't underestimate that face to face time of being able to be right there with people. And I think that has done a great job of helping people kind of acclimate themselves to, as we call it, the Toro way.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Yeah, and for me, coming into a campus with a very well established culture and group of teachers, and
mm,
you know half a dozen people that I talked to all mentioned to me that they gave up, upwards of 10K to either go to teach at this school
mm,
or to stay. Like they've been offered other things, but they choose to stay because of the school and the culture. So, in trying to build relationships, it's easy on one hand because there are so many people who have been so welcoming and are like, what do you need? We got you, this and that and the other. But on the other hand, it's just like this constant fear of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I fitting in correctly? Am I engaging with these people? And I worry too how my teaching is affecting my relationships because I don't think like I'm a bad teacher, but I'm just like, oh man, what if somebody doesn't like my teaching and how is that going to impact my relationships? But it's it's been amazing, like because our entire middle school team is maybe only 25 or 30 people.
oh wow, okay.
So because we only have 200, like 270 total 6th through 8th graders. So that part of building a relationship is is better because it allows you to really know everybody. Like I know everyone that's on our staff. Whereas opposed when I was, say, at Handbreaker, when we were at Stellick, yeah, you knew, like, I quote unquote knew who everyone was, but you didn't really know everybody. And everyone on our staff, I get to have conversations with and get to do that. But um, it's been it's been work for me to really try to um, it's been work for me to try to fight the urge to just kind of stand back and observe the culture and just try to fit in when I know, like, my last job, that was part of the problem,
Hmm.
was that I said I was just going to stand back and try to fit in and figure out what was going on. Um, so that's been a fight that I've had in terms of building relationships, is really putting myself out there and adding to the relationships that I'm a part of at my school, because I think that's really where a pillar of building relationships in between teachers is that you're adding something to it,
Hmm.
or at least the teachers that I want to be friends with and I want to have a good relationship. I have to be adding something to that relationship.
I would say I think it should be any teacher. Um, you know, it, Teaching is just a microcosm of the world environment. You're not going to get along with everyone you teach with. That's the reality. There are going to be people that your personality styles are not going to mesh. There's going to be people who are going to not, for whatever reason, particularly care for who you are as a teacher, may not care to know you as an individual, may have their own bias built up about what you bring into the table. But at the end of the day, I think our jobs as educators is just to add value to the culture, to every single day, add value to every single person. You know, I heard a teacher made a comment, said, "I've never seen this teacher smile." So I've made it my mission, even though when they made that connection, my student teacher actually said that, and when I actually heard it, I was like, "Oh wow, okay." Now it's my mission to say, "Hey, what can I do to make this teacher smile?" You know, I know this teacher's not a bad person. I don't believe this teacher is a bad teacher, but I have, in my own observations, realized that I've very rarely seen that teacher smile. So now it becomes my mission to see, can I add value to our culture by simply getting someone to smile? Sometimes it means going out of my way to make sure that they get a joke, or that that I help them with something so that they can understand that somebody else is there. Greeting them with a smile consistently just to see how that works. And I think that when you look at things like that, again, we said it, value adds value. You said, I wrote down, you said you walked into a well-established culture. So it's like planting a seed in Hawaii. They say literally you can plant any seed you want to in Hawaii and it's going to grow because the ground is so rich. The culture is so rich where you are, to where all you have to do is go in and be you.
Hmm.
And the moment you do that, that's going to add value, because guess what? There's not another Mr. Kyle Krieger anywhere on your campus. There may be teachers who resemble you. We saw that at Teach Your Heart Out. Uh,
Hmm.
they,
shout out Dan Dornfield.
big shout out to Dan. But there may be people who look like you. There may be people who have the same energy as you, but there's no one who's going to be exactly like you. And I think that is what culture is about: is not having everyone be the same, but having everyone be themselves. And that's
Mm,
hard because
mm.
we often don't look at, when we say be yourself, we're really saying be who I want you to be.
I apologize that we have to take this short break from this episode of the Value Adds Value podcast, but we have news that's so important we just couldn't wait to tell you. Because we believe in it, and because they believe in us, we were able to partner with Nearpod to provide you a free opportunity and discounts on your chance to use the Nearpod platform. Now, What is Nearpod? Glad you asked. Nearpod is an online teaching platform that we can house our lessons, we can create presentations, and they have the most incredible bank of pre-created lessons and curriculum that is there for you to sample depending upon what level you choose. So if you go to the link that's in our show notes, I'm going to give it to you right now. It's go.nearpod.com/value-adds-value. That's go.nearpod.com/value-adds-value. You have the opportunity to sign up for free, plus get huge discounts on their gold and their platinum memberships. And for a few lucky listeners soon, we're going to be giving away gold memberships and one platinum. So keep listening, and we'll let you know when that's going to happen. But before that is, go to go.nearpod.com/value-adds-value to check it out.
You know what I mean? We want you to be who we want you to be, the image that we've created. But to say be yourself doesn't mean that I'm saying, oh, I accept you for who you are. It's you're who you are, and I'm accepting that. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of, we have to make sure we're looking at it from the standpoint of let everybody be who they are. Express yourself how you want to express yourself. And as long as our vision is the growth and the development of our students, then we have a shared goal. And if we have a shared goal, we have a shared purpose. If we have a shared purpose, we have a shared why. That means we're connected.
Mm. And it's funny that I do want to come back to this quote here in a second about not, a true culture is not everyone being the same, but allowing everyone to be themselves. But, I think for me too, it's kind of my fight to have realistic expectations because you know how I am. Like sometimes I get caught in that trap of realistic expectations where I'm like, I see someone on my campus that I don't know as well because there are people already that I'm very close with that I've spent a lot of time with. But you kind of see them and you're like, oh man, do they not? Because you don't have that same vibe with them. It's like, oh man, did I make them mad? Am I doing something wrong? Am I doing this or am I doing that? But just having realistic expectations that no matter what, relationships take time. Like whether it's relationships with your kids or with your colleagues, that it's something that you have to pour into, consistently. And I think that.
Oh, go ahead.
I just think that's the challenge, especially, being, a new teacher, is understanding that, you have that professional relationship with your colleagues because you are on that same team. So, even the teachers you never talk to, you have a professional relationship with because you're on the same staff. But really building that personal aspect of that relationship and investing in, I don't know how many people come, and that's the great thing about my campus. I don't know how many people a day ask me about our wedding, and how many people a day are coming and talking to me about things that are beyond just my classroom. And I think that makes a huge difference, because every campus wants to say they're a family. Every school wants to say, well, we're a family, we're this, we're that. But this is the most, aside from the squad that we had in that pod, you and I and Miss A, and then Green. And then, you had Dunham and you had Davis and Labra in that pod. That was a family. But that wasn't an entire staff. That was really a family. And I think that was difficult in a situation like that where you're potted off. And I know you've talked about this, that your sixth graders are, you're only really with the sixth grade staff down that wing that you had. So, I mean, for me, bringing it around to, I feel so fortunate to be a part of a staff that really feels like a family.
Right. And I like the idea of being family. I prefer the metaphor of a team. And I'll share why. A lot of times every family has that drunken uncle that nobody allows to do anything, nobody to correct because they just allow him to be because they say that's just how he's always been. And we're not saying literally drunken uncle, but we know we have those family members that like every time they come around, it's like, okay, here they come. And so families have a sense of enabling. There's an enabling property that comes with a family that doesn't really happen with a team. Because as a team, if I'm running a play and you miss the block and I get lit up, I'm not so apt to let you make it as a team member. But as a family member, I may make excuses and say, oh, I know you're having a bad day. I know you're having a rough time. And I think that in the schools, I told my student teacher this. I say, once we clock in, we can't afford to have a bad day. And that's the crazy thing. We have to suppress that to make sure that we're still performing at the top of our game. We can't miss blocks. We can't drop balls. We can't miss passes. We can't do those things because when we do that, there's a kid that's involved. There's a life that's connected with your folly, and we have to make sure that we're conscious of what we're doing in that. So again, I understand the idea behind building a family, and I think you have to build a family first before you start building a team. But I would liken to say right now, I feel like at Jones, we're setting a standard. I can honestly say I don't feel family-ish. I feel team. I feel camaraderie. I feel shared experiences. I fear people that who I don't mind being emotional around, who I don't mind being vulnerable around. And those are there's some aspects, and they say great coaches create family-like environments for their teams. And I think the greatest coaches they know when to differentiate between that family mode and that team mode. Yeah. Family brings you in, team keeps you here and keeps us winning.
Well, and I think your point there too is, just thinking about the team analogy, like when you're not on the field, when you're not on the practice field or on the court or on the ice or wherever it is, it's family mode. But as soon as you step into that locker room and it's got to be business. And I think that analogy of the team, I think, is more apt because I think the purpose of a family and the purpose of a team is different. Like a team is a group of people who come together by, most of them by choice to pursue a particular goal. And granted, I don't want to undermine family or anything like that, but in terms of, building teacher to teacher,
we can't choose our family. We hear people say that all the time.
And that's the thing. So, and maybe that's a misconception that I've been under. And because, now that you say that, my school is more like a team. Because there are times where there's a certain level of bluntness that I like about my campus. There is not, like you said, with family, the way you can not throw shade in the negative way, but people will shade some of the inadequacies and they'll shade some of the problems to where you just you say that thing like that's just how. And I know he's not going to listen to it, but I'll say my uncle's name. That's just how Uncle Paul is. Uncle Paul, if you tell him to be there at if dinner is actually at 12, you need to tell him to be there at 10:30, and then he might get there by like 12:15. You do those things, but when you're on that team and there's the explicit mission, you can't afford to cover those things. And I think that's a part of, I mean, building, I think, man, that me just sitting here saying right now, like thinking about it that way, that changes my perspective. Then I'm a, I feel that support, like I would feel it from a family, but there's not even a degree, there's like a real professional responsibility at my school. Like
Mhm.
there is a very set expectation that this is how we show up for our kids. And I think this is something I've been trying to fight is I'm in a school where a lot of the kids, like a vast majority of the kids, have been going to that school since kindergarten. So they understand the culture, and it's kind of a fight for me to fit in with what they're doing, and but also to be myself. And I can't lie and say there are not times that when I have educational assistants or paras or people come in, I'm like, oh my God, I wonder what they think. I think they think, and you just kind of like have those couple moments where you're like, oh my God, I know they think I'm terrible. I know they think I'm terrible. But, I've had so many people on this team come to me, and I have a mentor that comes in for 10 minutes to observe my class once a week. And then we debrief. Like that's how committed my school is to professionalism and to being successful. But man, I can't do. Oh, that's a gem. That gem. Like, come back to this. Not every in a culture, not everyone has to. We shouldn't strive for everyone to be the same, but to be ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Be ourselves.
Yeah.
Variety is the spice of life, they say.
Mm-hmm.
And back what you were saying about those kids being at the school and understanding the culture. I had the conversation yesterday with my student teacher that, a lot of times you hear people say things like Rome wasn't built in a day. I'm saying when you hear that, what that is speaking to, that is speaking to the cultural things that Rome has built that are still around right now. So when people say Rome wasn't built in a day, they're saying if you want the longevity, be willing to put in the work, and it's not going to happen overnight. It'll last, but that lasting aspect of what you want is not going to come. I tell teachers all the time, I did not really start enjoying teaching last year until around November.
Oh, I can attest to that.
Yeah,
It was a struggle.
Yeah, August, September, October is a fight, and it's the same thing right now. I'm enjoying my kids, but I'm not really enjoying teaching. Because right now it's a lot of saying the same things over and over again because they don't know the culture.
Mm.
Whereas I feel that if I was teaching 7th or 8th grade students who had already been a part of our culture and they've already cycled through a few times, then I think it works. But if you have not had that, as we're getting, kids who are coming from, I think we have at least 2 to 3 different elementary schools merging into, well, 3 feeder schools that merge into our school. But of course, with transfers and everything, we probably have like 4 or 5 different elementary schools at bare minimum represented on our campus. So that's 4 or 5 different cultures, different ways of doing things, different ways of seeing things that these kids have never seen before. And I caution my team to say, hey, be patient right now with the kids. There's no reason to pop off right now. There's no reason to want to try to get kids told, or they're here to learn. They've never been in a culture like this before. And maybe that's me taking that assumption that I'm going to pretend as if you've never heard this before. Coming into, I know you've been in school for 6 years, but I'm going to pretend that you've never heard it like this before. And in doing that, I'm going to position myself as a facilitator of your growth into this culture, not as a manager making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? I don't want to bark orders out. I want to keep reiterating the culture. We did a video this year where we talked about it, and one of the recurring themes we kept saying, our host kept saying, is here at Jones Middle School. here at Jones Middle School, over and over and over again, to the point to buy. And we showed the video for a whole week, every class, you know. And so when you think about it like that, what you're getting, what you want to get the kids to do is when they're doing something, that they hear that here at Jones Middle School, we don't. Here at Jones Middle School, we walk on the right. Here at Jones Middle School, we don't run in the hallways. You know what I mean? So when I see kids not doing what they want to do right now, I tell people, they say it takes anywhere between 15 to 21 days to really develop a habit. I said, that's 15 to 20 days of intentionally doing the same thing over and over again. Our kids are not going to do it intentionally over and over and over again. So you take that 15 to 20 days and multiply that to about 30 to 40 days that you're going to be dealing with kids, trying to get them on point. And if that is the case, we're just now getting at that point. We're just at the 20-day point. You know, we're not even at the 20-day point fully yet with the holidays that's come in. So I just think that dealing with teachers, it's important that we understand to be there for each other, but don't be there as an enabler. Be there as an accountability partner. And not from a management standpoint, but just from a cultural standpoint. This is how we do it here. But the kids, but this is how we do it here. But I had a rough night, but this is how we do it here. And I think if we focus on that, building those teacher-teacher relationships, again, just like building relationships with students are difficult, building relationships with teachers based on a true purpose, not because I like you, because we like to go hit the happy hour at the end of the week. Not because you're the cool teacher with all the swag, or you're the one that dresses nice, or you're the one that has all the popularity, but because you're the one who holds me accountable for doing my job. And I think that is what helps to build that teacher-teacher relationship. And I was just reading an article, and we can share a link in this video. I think I shared it with you about the impact of a collective teacher efficacy in schools, that it has a greater impact on student success than even socioeconomics, and then economic status or previous success. That teachers who come together as one collective unit to build themselves as a unit actually help students do better than students who are already been proven successful, who come from the best communities. So that speaks a lot to the importance of establishing those relationships with students. I mean, with teachers to teachers, and making sure, again, I don't have to be your friend. You don't have to like me. You don't have to be, texting me all the time. You don't have to do that. That's not necessary. We don't have to go hang out. But what there has to be is a mutual respect and an understanding that we're in this position. We're here for a purpose, and we're going to hold each other accountable for that purpose.
Yeah, man.
And I think one of the things is also, along with that accountability, is being courteous. Consider yourself. I don't know, last year, I think there were several times that I walked by teachers and I said good morning, and I didn't get a response back. There are teachers that are so caught up in their own world that they don't even respond back when you say good morning. And to me, again, I tell students this: if I walk into a place of business and I'm not greeted within the first, I'll give them 3 to 5 minutes of me walking into that establishment, considering everything. If it's not too busy or there's just only one person. But if I walk into an establishment and I'm not greeted, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to spend my money there. To me, that's how much greeting and acknowledging me is. As I'm walking through the store, if I make eye contact with someone, I'm going to greet them. I just think that those are just things that I grew up learning. You don't make eye contact with someone and not greet them. And so being courteous with one another, and always considering yourself in their shoes. What if that was me? How would I want a teacher to respond to me? What if that was me? You know what I mean? And I think that if we get that to the point, then we could start to really build those teacher-teacher relationships in a way that's going to impact students in the future for years and years to come.
It's a good place to cut this episode off. A couple things just we would really appreciate, and a couple things we want to tell you. If you are in the Texas area, especially the Hill Country, San Antonio, we are going to be there October 3rd and 4th at AIE, which is, you can find that conference link at AIEconference.net. We will be collectively presenting 3 times. Will's got one session of his own. I've got one session of my own. And we're going to be presenting one together. And then we are lucky to have that be back to back with Teach Your Heart Out. So we will be staying around for Teach Your Heart Out. And to our Houston friends, the 25th of October?
25th.
The 25th of October, we will be presenting at TCCA at Davis High School in Houston. And that's a free technology conference.
No, 26th. 26th.
Sorry, 26th. October 26th. But anyway, it's free.
Free 99. Yes.
Free 99. As Eric Crouch would say, free is in your price range.
Yeah. And it's amazing because it's one of the largest technology education conferences in the state. So it is going to be jam-packed with great keynotes, great exhibits, a lot of giveaways. Matter of fact, we're going to be giving away some goodies, thanks to our good friends and partnerships with Nearpod, offering teachers some free giveaways. And so, again, man, it's professional development does not have to be arduous and boring.
Mm-hmm.
When you PD your own way, your own way, then you get to determine how you're shaped and how you're developed as a teacher. So,
and if you're not subscribed, we would be super appreciative if you would subscribe to the podcast, share it out, and if you want to find out more about what we're doing on the daily, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Value Adds Value. You can also find Will on Twitter and Instagram at its.will.law.iii. And season 2, episode 3. We both got to get ready for work here because it is Bow Tie Tuesday, my friend.
Bow Tie Tuesday.
So we appreciate you checking in and listening to the podcast, and we will talk to you again soon.